One is a children's book author, another's a musical prodigy, and all three believe in Jesus. Blink-182 may be known for their goofy public personas, but off stage, they're just three normal guys. After discovering that there was already an Irish band named Blink, the US punk band were forced to modify their name in order to differentiate themselves. But the trio struggled to settle on an addition, deciding not to use the options they came up with. This dragged on until the record studio became frustrated with their indecision, so 182 was added at the last minute. In an interview with Amy Schumer on Fuse, Mark Hoppus told the full story and said that the label basically threatened to choose a name for them if they didn't come up with one themselves.
We were just Blink, and there was another band called Blink, and so the label called us up and said, you have to change your name.
Hoppus went on to tell Schumer, and we just made up the 182, and ever since then, we've made up different stories all the time about what 182 means. It was my ideal weight. It was the ship number that my grandfather worked on in World War II. It was the number of times Al Pacino said in Scarface. However, guitarist Tom DeLonge posted a tweet in 2018 that just added to the mystery, writing, "It's actually Blink-182. People have all gotten this wrong for years." The revelation has only increased speculation that there is, in fact, a true meaning behind the number. Tom DeLonge loved music as a kid and was grateful for the beat-up guitar his buddy gave him that got him to start playing when he was in 6th grade. On the other hand, the teen had another interest in high school that he originally thought would be a better career option, until he actually started doing it. The guitarist told Biz San Diego magazine, "I was originally going to be a firefighter. I was in the San Diego cadet program. They yelled at me to do push-ups. Well, then rock and roll seemed better." DeLonge then wanted to become a rock star, but could not pull off that dream immediately. He was forced to work in construction, which he despised even more than the cadet training. In his conversation with Rolling Stone, he said, "I hated my job. You know those people who hate their job? That was me." So, when Blink-182 was picked up by MCA, the guitarist instantly quit his day job. Not only did the extraordinarily talented drummer Travis Barker start playing the drums at 4 years old, but he has also had extensive musical training in many diverse genres, from jazz to madrigals, according to Rolling Stone. Barker also learned how to play the trumpet and piano, along with receiving vocal training as well. Despite this, the drums remained his favorite instrument. In fact, he used the same beloved drum kit all throughout childhood until he turned 15. Early on, the band's first drummer, Scott Rayner, was kicked out, so Barker quickly stepped in. One can certainly argue that Barker became the most skilled musician of the trio. Even though the drummer is not a founding member of Blink-182, he has been such a key fixture of the band for so long that it's hard to imagine the group reaching the same level of success without him. In 1998, Travis Barker was first asked to fill in for founding drummer Scott Rayner mid-tour. Fortunately, Barker was on the same tour with his ska band Aquabats, so he was able to learn all of Blink-182's setlist in an incredibly short amount of time. On the other hand, his previous exposure to their music was not the only factor, as there are few musicians talented enough to pull off such a feat. In an interview with Drum, Barker recalled the tense yet exhilarating situation, saying, "They came to me, seriously, 2 hours before the show, and they go, 'Can you learn 21 songs and play our set with us?' I was like, 'Well, yeah, give me a tape really quick.' We had been on the last 6 shows with them, so I kind of got an idea of what they were doing." Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge were clearly impressed with his performance. Barker added, "I played that show with them and they were just going, 'Wow, we're super stoked. We've never sounded this good. Would you be interested in playing with us?' I went, 'Yeah, if anything ever happens and you ever need somebody, just tell me. I'd be more than happy to.'" When Rayner left permanently shortly after, Barker came on board, and as they say, the rest is history. Blink-182 loved to pull pranks on people, and one of their best was when they showed up on Conan O'Brien to perform First Date in 2001. When the trio appeared on stage, something was off. The band looked like they had just gotten out of a brawl, which alarmed not just fans, but also their record label.
I guess you had a fight backstage with Martha Stewart? Is that what happened?
Yeah. No, I don't know. We don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Years later, the band came clean and admitted that it was all a joke pulled at the last minute. In an interview with Kerrang, Mark Hoppus said, "It was a prank. Right before we went on stage, they were like, 'Right, Blink, you're on stage in 10 minutes. Go get made up.' So we go back there, and the makeup artist had this row of photos that she'd done, and some of them showed special effects. She put a black eye on me." According to Hoppus, he and his bandmates received a ton of calls from various concerned parties the next day, trying to figure out exactly what had transpired. Despite all the crazy antics of Blink-182, the two wildest members don't do drugs and rarely ever get drunk. DeLonge drinks the most out of the three, but even he's not a big fan. Mark Hoppus dislikes booze the most in the group. As he told Rolling Stone, "I used to drink, but it got boring. And on tour, you wake up, you feel bad, and you've got to travel. But I'm not straight edge. I have no problem with what other people put in their bodies." The absence of drugs was not just good for the bandmates' health. DeLonge also figured out a way to use their anti-drug stance to the group's advantage. When the band was new and struggling to get gigs, the guitarist was able to secure shows at churches and schools because he claimed the band had a strong message against drug use, according to 101 Amazing Facts About Blink-182 by Jack Goldstein and Frankie Taylor. All three of the main members are firm believers in God, or at least some kind of higher power. While Mark Hoppus is not strongly connected to any specific dogma, he admitted to Rolling Stone, "I pray before we go on stage, and I pray at night." Likewise, Tom DeLonge went to church camp as a kid where he found out he loved to play guitar. He's since described himself as a believer in Jesus Christ. However, both musicians are a bit worried that whatever that higher power is, it may not be too pleased with their immature behavior and excessive use of curse words. No matter how strong Hoppus and DeLonge's faith is, it may not compare to the level of Travis Barker due to his near-death experience. When the drummer described his faith to Vice, he said, "I definitely pray. I believe in God. I definitely think I was blessed, and I'm here for a reason after being the only survivor of a plane crash. So I'm not at church every day, and I'm not pushing religion on people. But I believe in God, and I pray, and my kids pray." In 2015, Tom DeLonge released the children's book he wrote, The Lonely Astronaut, on Christmas Eve. It was a surprise to many, partly that the rock star had the maturity to pull off such a project. On the other hand, the achievement made much more sense after the guitarist admitted that he had a tough time keeping the book cool for kids to read. As DeLonge told Alter the Press, "It was a hard decision not to make it a children's book and just make it really messed up and NC-17. We really did battle that discussion about if we should make it really weird or make it just cool and real. I thought the cool and real one would be more unexpected, to be honest." Mark Hoppus, Tom DeLonge, and Travis Barker all made an appearance in American Pie, and the bassist was especially excited to be involved early on during pre-production of the film. Hoppus said in one interview, "We were actually part of that movie before it was even made, when it was just the script getting circulated around Hollywood. A friend of ours brought it to our attention, and I thought it was the funniest script I've ever seen." Individually, DeLonge also had a brief part in the horror comedy Idle Hands as a burger jungle worker named Dave, who was more than happy to go on break like a typical fast food employee. Interestingly, the guitarist's later replacement, Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio, got the opportunity to be in one of Christopher Nolan's greatest films. The new member joked on Instagram, "Pretty sure that my skills sealed the deal on the success of The Dark Knight." The caption was also accompanied with a blurry screenshot of his cameo as part of the crowd out for blood, trying to seize Coleman Reese while he tries to escape GCN Studios. Before Blink-182 rose to the top of the pop-punk world, they learned from the best while on tour.
We got a show to do! We got a show to do! We got a show to do!
And even decades later, after having families with kids, they continue to joke around with other artists, like when the Master Pranksters got rapper Asher Roth first with a gigantic drape that blocked his stage, which was followed by a group of male strippers. When talking with Spin, Tom DeLonge recalled a humorous occasion when Blink pranked Jimmy Eat World using bursts of bright light. The guitarist explained, "We did it just randomly in the middle of a song. Frontman Jim Adkins would be singing about a girl, and we just hit it." Jeremy McKinnon, the lead singer of A Day to Remember, confirmed that while Blink has toned it down, they are still up to their typical hijinks. In an interview with Music Feeds, the A Day to Remember frontman mentioned that Mark Hoppus will often crack jokes and insult other bands, but it's all done in good fun. McKinnon added, "He came out a few nights, messing around and throwing toilet paper into the crowd. He waited till we played our acoustic song, which is like this super dramatic moment, and came out by himself and just starts throwing toilet paper in the middle of this serious song, and everybody just cracked up."
Oh, hi, I didn't see you standing there.
Fans of Blink-182 might have given up hope of seeing the band perform or produce content in 2022, at least in its original lineup. The group's relationship has been tumultuous over the years. The band broke up in 2005 and reunited in 2009. A seemingly more permanent rupture came in 2015 when group members traded public insults and accusations. Across various platforms, Travis Barker and Mark Hoppus announced Tom DeLonge's departure. However, DeLonge denied it, and his bandmates accused him of ingratitude. DeLonge then shared a lengthy public letter spreading blame 3 ways. He accepted some bad behavior on his part, but accused his partners of not fully committing to their share of the work. He would go on to form his own band, Angels and Airwaves, and that seemed the end of his connection to Blink-182. But in October 2022, DeLonge, Barker, and Hoppus announced that they were together again, under the Blink-182 name. They released a new song, Edging, announced plans for a new album, and made plans for a world tour.